Good morning, everybody. It's Ann Gilbert, and we're here at the Riverview location. And I have a student with me today, Christine, and she's actually about 6 or so feet away from me, and we are going to be doing deep stretch. So we're going to assume, for purposes of the filming, that her body is already warm. So she's already come in from her, what, 1.5 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile run. Congratulations on that. So she's already warm, which means that there's blood and oxygen to the joint. We are going to be focusing on muscle, but we're actually focusing instead, or even more, on lengthening tight tissue at the joint. So think about what's tight when she does her run. Her hips and her shoulders. Her hips and her shoulders. Two main areas. I'm going to have Christine start the deep stretch protocols lying on her back in a supine position. Her knees are facing the ceiling, her heels are drawn back towards her glutes, and her hands are at the side and up at her shoulders. I'm going to ask Christine to put her thumb on the top of her hand. In other words, open up your hands, lay them flat, allowing gravity to sit in what's called a passive stretch against the pecs. And Christine, I challenge you, hold your hands out there and keep taking advantage of gravity, lengthening that tight tissue at the joint. The first pattern to stretch is a glute lift, or what we commonly call in the gym a bridge. So go ahead and bridge up, Christine. I want you to hold that bridge for 30 seconds. Now what she's actually doing is creating what's called a reciprocal contraction on the back side of her body, right? She's contracting her glutes with the purpose of lengthening the hip. Experts agree that this particular stretch pattern, again, the reciprocal contraction with the lengthening of the hip, should last for about 30 seconds. How's it feel, Christine? Activate those glutes.
Squeezing.
Okay, so she's got a static contraction. She's actually strengthening her glutes in order to keep the hip lengthened. All right, go ahead and rest down, assuming that's about 30 seconds. And we're going to do this in sets. So big deep breath in, reevaluating the fact that the pecs are being opened by gravity, and go ahead and give me the second bridge. Now this time I'm going to ask her to extend her right leg. Lower it so it's in direct opposition to the bent left knee. Up, 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 right across from the bent left knee. Point the toe. Now if I were in class with you ladies, I would be able to adjust you, but I can't today, right? We're keeping our distance. This is a single leg bridge, So she's working on even a deeper, more intense if you will, contraction on the backside to help lengthen the hip. The hip is the first area in which we always will focus in a deep stretch class. We don't jump to anything else until we can really feel that hip lengthening. Now, she can go ahead and take her hands and rub and self-massage that hip, or if she had a tennis ball, she could actually rub it on the joint. Go ahead and lower that, Christine, and let's take a little breather. Hands back up if you'd like, and then bridge up again. Third set through. Extend the opposite leg, pointing the toe and lowering that leg in direct opposition to the other knee. Good job, good job. Hold it up. It takes a lot of energy. She's probably already perspiring under that beautiful long sleeve shirt she's got on. So this is a bridge that we usually use in class, but it's actually a means by which we lengthen the hip. Again, self-massage, myofascial massage is appropriate at this point. And the biggest thing is we always lengthen the hip before we go any further. This is one of the reasons we can get deeper into the piriformis in the next setup. All right, let's go on. Lower. Now take the ankle heel process and lay it across the knee. Now before we go any further, I just want you to lift that bottom leg 2 inches off the floor and hold it. Now, did you feel the activation of your core muscles? Mm-hmm. Yes, so she's actually using that reciprocal work here in the core to help her get deeper into this next pattern. So just lower your foot a little bit, just don't cheat on me, only 2 inches off the floor. Good, second half of this pattern. Drop the foot, take and cross the leg tighter across the body. Go ahead and release the pressure of your shoulders and neck. Grab a hold and tug gently without pulsing. In deep stretch, we never pulse, we never bounce. Never pulse, never bounce. Now pull deep into the muscles that lie below the glutes. You've already lengthened the hip, allowing us to get deeper into that area. Many people find that this area, when left tight, can cause strain, sometimes even sciatica. Without really pressuring anything at this point, she's going to inhale and exhale, really working on those breathing techniques that she's learned in her mind-body focuses shapes. And she's gonna hold that stretch for 30 seconds. Good job, Christine. How's it feel?
Feels great.
Feels great. Now for the purposes of our filming, let's go on to the other side. So uncross that little pretzel that you formed. Both feet flat on the floor. Take the ankle heel process on the other side. Lay it across, opening the hip opener. Nice hip opener. And then lift that bottom leg about 2 inches off the floor for me. Good. Did you feel the reciprocal contraction kick in with the abs or the core? She sure did. And hold for 30 seconds, practicing on your breathing. And remember the importance of opening in those pecs. Gravity is sitting on her shoulders, everybody. It's a passive stretch or lengthening at the pec. Now, while she's here, I want her to really contract the back side of her shoulders. The back side of her shoulders. Put some focus on your posterior delt. That's a second reciprocal contraction. Strength in her posterior delt is going to allow her to keep from collapsing as she stands up. Very, very important muscle group to make sure that you're maintaining strength in when we get back to the gym. All right, tighten up all the way across that leg, like you gotta go tinkle wavy. Pull it towards you, chin to chest. If you feel like your head's being slammed back, remember it's, I know, you could just pull your chin to your chest and make a double chin. Not attractive, but it would take the pressure off your neck and shoulders. This is held for 30 seconds, and then we get to go on. Now, the coolest thing is coming up, and that's your first self-assessment, that actually these protocols have already lengthened the hip. So when she unwinds her pretzel, go ahead, Christine, you can unwind. Feet ahead, knees to the ceiling. Go ahead and give me another bridge. How's it feel this time? Good? Feel good? A little bit less effort? The hips feel a little bit longer?
I feel like I can push higher.
She can push higher. She's got that, yeah. Focus on length of the hip. Okay, let's go on. My favorite exercise pattern next. Both feet up in the air. All right, take the toes of the right foot behind the heels of the left. Don't overthink it. There it goes. If it's the wrong side, it's okay. And she's lengthening the hamstring. Oh, your hands, you lost the hands. Remember up here? She's lengthening the hamstring, but the cool thing is the hamstring is attached to the low back. So the lengthening is really happening at the whole spine. She's actually lengthening the whole spine because she's addressing the lengthening of the hamstring. So it is a hamstring stretch, but it's allowing us to lengthen the tight tissue at the bottom of her spine. Whoa, feel good? Mm-hmm. Even after that run?
Yes.
Yeah. Inhaling and exhaling and really concentrating on pushing forward, again, without a bounce or a pulse. I'm not fond of taking a towel at this point and yanking or pulling. I want her to use her own body awareness to lengthen the hamstring so it lessens the tightness of the tissue at the low back. Good job. Want to do the other side? All right, toes behind heel. Push up as if the heel could hit the ceiling. Now you're going to actually find one's a little tighter, right? Which is probably one of the reasons why we have undiagnosed low back pain in a lot of cases. Doctors agree that 80% of undiagnosed low back pain, in other words, you weren't traumatized in your low back, can be caused because of this tight hamstring. This is a staple in your diet, guys. This is a staple. Whether you can do the whole deep stretch class or not, this becomes a staple in your diet as of today. Everybody promise? Shapes, gals, you promise? All right, 30 seconds is our hold. She's still opening up there at the pec. She's still squeezing the back side of her shoulders. That's that reciprocal contraction. And she's lengthening the hamstring, which again attaches to the low back. Remember that stat, 80% of undiagnosed low back pain or untraumatized low back pain comes from tight hamstrings. Feeling great? All right, you ready to flip over on your belly? All right, let's flip over on the belly. This is a prone position, guys. And as she gets into that position, I'm just going to ask her to just elongate her arms. Now, I don't really care what she's doing with her lower body. She could sit in a modified child's pose. I'll show you without getting too close. She could sit in a modified child's pose, or she could extend her legs. Either way. But she's lengthening the lats. So I want her to press forward with her hands as far as she possibly can, as if I'm pulling her fingertips towards the window. Okay, feel that? Feel good? Now the lats are really interesting. They're attached to the underarm. They're attached right here. They attach to the arm. And then they go all the way towards her low back. So by lengthening and inhaling and exhaling for 30 seconds, she's actually decreasing more pressure on the low back. If the lats are left tight, it could pull on the shoulders, causing really undue stress on the shoulder joint and or the low back. Now go ahead, Christine, and take your right hand and press out a little bit further than your left. Walk it out. So now she's working from one side to the other, making sure that she's not leaving one side tighter than the other. Remember, it's attaching here and here. Both sides, Christine, don't forget that other side. Good, walk it out. Again, lengthening the lats. Now, I'm gonna ask her just to lift her body weight up and join me in a modified child's pose and do the same thing in this position as we get ready to move on. Second opportunity to stretch the lats. Remember, they attach down there at the low back and then under the arm. And she can walk out that front and left so that she can work on muscle balance and lengthening from right to left. Now the next pattern is kind of interesting. I'm going to ask her to sit up facing the windows on her legs, sliding her hands down her thighs and make a fist, if you will, in the floor. Boom. This is called gorilla pose. She's very, very close to her knees. Now right away, as she starts to look up, she feels the lengthening from the xiphoid process down towards the pubic bone. She's lengthening the tight rectus abdominis, the six-pack, that is tightened all day when we drive or on the computer or making our oatmeal or holding our babies or sitting in a chair relaxed and watching TV. So she's lengthening. This is called the gorilla pose. If this is uncomfortable for your hands, I understand. Please just open up your fingers, but she's lengthening this. Now she's not going through repetition. She's focusing on breathing and holding that particular stretch for about 30 seconds. Now Christine, go ahead and relax. Extend your right leg and keep the toes on the floor. Okay, extend your right leg on the toe. Yep. Now take the left arm in opposition and box the ear. Hold it next to the ear. Remember, the head weighs about 13 to 15 pounds. And by boxing the ear, we're not only elongating the length of her lever or her whole spine, but we're actually putting some pressure next to the ear so that the head doesn't fall down like a Tex-Mex. Good? Got it? Now, in that position, and only when she's in that position, can't you just see the lengthening of the tight tissue along the spine? I will allow her to lift that leg up slightly off the floor and point the toe towards the back wall. Good, lengthen the hip. Another opportunity, guys. Another opportunity to lengthen the hip, as if she's being pulled. This is what we want when we stand up. Every single muscle across the back is in a reciprocal contraction to keep her from falling sideways. Is this a core exercise? Sure, the core is a stabilizer, but just look at the lengthening of every single tight tissue across the spine. Good job. Let's lower it back down to gorilla pose. Take another opportunity to stretch that front of her body, the six-pack, the rectus abdominis, if she will. And then she's going to perform that same pattern by extending the left leg back, toes on the floor. Keep them down. Everybody wants to cheat on this. And box the arm against the opposite ear. Okay? Don't make it harder. Stay in opposition, right? And then lift that leg up. And look at the lengthening of the tissue along the spine. Very seldom in our day's life do we ever find the spine this long. She has now made herself taller every single time she stands up. Very, very cool. Now I'm going to have her flip quickly onto a sideline position. Okay? Bottom leg is going to point towards the camera, top leg extended, another, other way. Yep, nope, this way. I can't get close to you. Top leg extended this way. Okay. Good, bottom leg bent. There you go, sorry. Bad coach. Toes up, point the toe. Now look what's happening at her ankle. That's called dorsiflexion and extension. Do you see it? The ankle is another one of the joints that we have to move. The ankle is meant to be mobile. Sometimes we put it in our tennis shoes for so many hours during the day that we forget we're actually putting it in a cast. So let that ankle go. The whole time she's working on ankle mobility, deep stretch of the ankle joint, she's also taking another opportunity to lengthen that hip. Do you guys see it? That means that there's a reciprocal contraction going on right here in order for that hip to be extended. Another opportunity to strengthen the glutes. So the theme of today, guys, strong glutes can help reverse the seated position. Weak glutes easily put us back into that seated position. Okay, now if she picks up her arm overhead, she's going to feel a little pull across the middle of her core. She's actually lengthening the obliques in you this opportunity. Feel good, guys? How's it going, Christine? I'm always want to get close to you and give you a hug. Shakes hug. Here's one from afar. Shakes hug. Guys, good. Remember the importance of that ankle mobility. Let's go right away to the other side for time purposes today. Sideline position, oblique stretch with the hand overhead, right? Toes pointed, ankle mobility, hip extension, because this is being contracted. Remember that contraction is called a reciprocal contraction. There's no test after class today, but she's feeling great about the fact that she's worked on strengthening her glutes, which will help her to stay upright in every single activity of daily life. And the biggest one is what she does to prevent the fall. That being said, as active agers out there, every single time you lengthen your spine, lengthen the hip, work on mobility at the ankle joint, you increase your opportunity to stand up straight with great balance, and you decrease your opportunity to fall. Thanks for joining us on Deep Stretch, everybody. We'll do another segment in the next week or so.